You know what I think is really cool about this channel? Is how it takes things that seem totally different.
Right.
Like engineering and history,
Yeah.
and shows how they're actually connected.
Yeah, yeah.
Like history can teach us so much about innovation,
Yeah.
and it also shows how even like really complicated engineering concepts
Right.
can be made easy to understand for anyone.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised who they bring up. Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring engineering,
Oh, cool.
but with a twist.
Okay.
Instead of looking at like the hardcore technical side of things,
Yeah.
we're actually going to be looking at engineering through the lens of a YouTube channel
Oh, interesting.
called
Engineer MG.
Okay, cool.
And what's so fascinating about this channel is that it blends engineering with history and even personal insights about creating content online.
You know what I think is really cool about this channel? Is how it takes things that seem totally different.
Right.
Like engineering and history,
Yeah.
and shows how they're actually connected.
Yeah, yeah.
Like history can teach us so much about innovation,
Yeah.
and it also shows how even like really complicated engineering concepts
Right.
can be made easy to understand for anyone.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised who they bring up,
Oh, yeah.
like figures from history.
Okay.
They talk about like the father of algebra and even a 9th century innovator who
Yeah.
tried to fly like way before Da Vinci. Seriously.
So that's super fascinating.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that,
Okay.
can you give us a quick overview of what the Ingbebi channel is all about?
Sure. So the creator of the channel is a mechanical engineering student.
Okay.
And it's clear from their videos that they're super passionate about learning
Yeah.
and about sharing that passion with others.
I love that.
So their channel really focuses on like a bunch of different things,
Mhm.
like productivity tools and tutorials.
Yeah.
They do book summaries,
Cool.
and they talk about technology and things like that,
Hmm.
all from the perspective of a busy engineering student.
Yeah, so it's like a mix of educational content,
Right.
but also a glimpse into like what it's actually like to be an engineering student,
Exactly.
which is cool.
Yeah.
So what's their like teaching style like?
Well, it's very much a learn by doing approach.
Oh,
Like in one of their early videos,
Yeah.
they challenged themselves to make and post a video every single day for 3 days
Wow.
just to kickstart their channel. Oh, that's bold,
Yeah.
like putting yourself out there like that.
Yeah, I really admire that kind of commitment though.
Yeah,
Just going for it.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're also really focused on building a community
Totally.
around their channel.
Yeah, they really encourage people watching to suggest topics for future videos.
Oh, that's cool.
Which shows that they're open to feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and they really want to make content that people are actually interested in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that caught my eye was their deep dive into the history of algebra.
Oh, yeah.
Not exactly something you see every day on YouTube, right?
Yeah, not your typical YouTube video.
Right.
It's so cool how they connect the work of this 9th century mathematician,
Okay.
Al-Khwarizmi,
Mm-hmm.
to modern engineering.
Okay.
Did you know that the word algebra
I bet I don't.
actually comes from the Arabic al-jab,
Okay.
which means reuniting broken parts?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's fascinating. It's like putting a puzzle back together or something.
exactly.
But so how does this Al-Khwarizmi guy fit into all of this?
Well, he wrote this really important book
Okay.
called The Compendious Book on Calculation by Completion and Balancing.
Wow, what a title.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But what's important about it is that he gives step-by-step solutions
Okay.
to all these math problems,
Okay.
which was a revolutionary idea at the time.
Really?
Yeah, because back then,
Yeah.
people would just give you the answer,
Gotcha.
but he showed you the process,
Oh.
how to get there.
Oh, so it's like he wasn't just solving for X.
Right.
He was laying out like a methodology.
Exactly. And it's kind of like what a good tutorial does today, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It shows you the steps.
It makes me wonder if he would have been a YouTuber back in the day.
Yeah, he might have been.
Right.
He'd have millions of subscribers,
Right.
for sure.
But seriously, how did his work go on to influence engineering?
Well, his book was translated into Latin in the 12th century, and that's how his ideas spread to Europe
Gotcha.
and laid the foundation for modern mathematics.
Okay.
And, math is like the language of engineering,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Right.
So from building design to computer programming,
Yeah.
Al-Khwarizmi's work is like woven into our modern world.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing how knowledge from centuries ago
Yeah.
still impacts us today.
Right.
And speaking of ancient innovations,
Yeah.
Iqor also covers Abbas ibn Firnas,
Okay.
this 9th century guy who tried to build a flying machine.
Wow.
Can you
Ah.
imagine? This was nearly 1,200 years ago,
Oh my God.
long before Da Vinci.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so Ibn Firnas lived in Cordoba, Spain,
Okay.
which was under Islamic rule at the time.
Gotcha.
And it was experiencing this period called the Islamic Golden Age.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that. I just
Yeah.
kind of forget, like, why was it so important?
Yeah, so basically it was this time of like incredible intellectual and cultural flourishing.
Yeah.
In the Islamic world,
Mhm.
scholars were making all these groundbreaking advancements
Cool.
in science, math, astronomy, and more.
Wow.
So you can kind of think of it as like this fertile ground for new ideas,
Gotcha.
where thinkers like Ibn Firnas could really thrive.
So he wasn't just like a lone genius
Yeah.
tinkering in a basement or something.
No, not at all.
Okay.
He was a product of his time,
Mm-hmm.
a true polymath.
Okay.
He was an astronomer, poet, musician,
Wow.
and an
A
inventor.
Renaissance man?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he was just fascinated by birds.
Okay.
He would spend hours watching them,
Yeah.
studying their wings, how they took off and how they landed.
Yeah.
And then based on his observations,
Yeah.
he constructed these wings
Okay.
made of silk, wood, and feathers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's dedication.
yeah.
So what happened when he like actually tried to fly?
So in 875 CE,
Okay.
he decided to attempt a public flight
Oh, wow.
from this hill near Cordoba. Yeah. And accounts from the time suggest that he did achieve like a short glide
Really?
before landing.
Okay.
Not so gracefully, though.
Oh, so he like wiped out.
I think it's safe to say that, yeah.
Well, at least he had the courage to like test out his ideas.
Totally.
Right. I
Yeah.
could just picture everyone watching just like in awe,
Right.
wondering if he was actually going to like soar into the air.
Yeah, even if it wasn't like a complete success.
Yeah.
It must have been quite a spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
while his flight wasn't entirely successful,
Mm-hmm.
it did show that human flight was possible.
Right.
And it really kind of pushed the boundaries of what people thought was possible.
It makes you wonder how many other people he inspired to
Mhm.
go on to like, try to do the same thing.
And centuries later,
Yeah.
people built upon these early attempts
Yeah.
and eventually, led to the airplanes that we have today.
Right.
Yeah.
It just shows how, innovation builds on all the attempts that came before it, the
That's right.
successes and the failures. Now, from ancient pioneers, go a more familiar name.
Mm-hmm.
The channel also delves into Isaac Newton.
Oh, cool.
We all know the story of like the apple and gravity,
Yeah.
but is there something more to understand about his insights?
Well, here's the thing. Newton didn't just see an apple fall.
Yeah.
He questioned why it fell straight down,
Okay.
not sideways or up.
Oh.
And that simple observation
Yeah.
led to his groundbreaking work on the law of gravity.
Interesting.
He realized that the same force
Yeah.
pulling that apple to the ground
Yeah.
also governs the motion of the moon
Wow.
and the planets.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah. So it was about more than just observing. It was about asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Which I never thought of it like that before.
Yeah, it makes you wonder
Yeah.
how many everyday things we could learn from if we just stopped to question them.
Yeah.
Right.
And Newton's understanding of gravity wasn't just some abstract theory.
Right.
It has real world applications.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right. I can imagine for building design and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Absolutely.
You have to understand forces.
Yeah.
Otherwise things would just collapse.
Yeah. You don't account for gravity, things might come crashing down.
But Newton had other major contributions too,
I mean,
right? Like what else?
So his 3 laws of motion are fundamental
Okay.
to classical mechanics.
Gotcha.
And he also invented calculus,
Oh, wow.
which is a really powerful mathematical tool.
I'm sensing a theme here with
Yeah.
all these mathematicians and physicists.
And what Engbog does well is they show this link
Yeah.
between Al-Khwarizmi's work
Yeah.
from centuries earlier
Right.
and Newton's discoveries.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like a relay race of knowledge.
I love that.
Right.
Like they're passing the torch.
Exact through the ages.
It's beautiful how scientific progress builds upon the work of those who came before.
Right. And it makes it easier to understand too.
Yeah.
You can see how it all connects.
Totally.
Now, from groundbreaking theories to a tool that totally revolutionized design,
Okay.
the channel also covers computer-aided design, or CAD?
Yeah, CAD is something we hear a lot about.
yeah.
But what is it, really?
Yeah.
So think of CAD as like a super powerful software
Okay.
that lets engineers and designers create really detailed 2D and 3D models,
Okay.
but on a computer.
Gotcha.
So it's like a virtual drafting board
Right.
and a modeling kit
Mm-hmm.
all rolled into one.
Yeah.
It gives you so much precision and flexibility.
Okay.
And you can even test out your designs virtually
Oh, cool.
before you build them in the real world.
So it's not just about making things look pretty. It's
Well,
about making sure they actually work.
Exactly.
I bet this has had a huge impact on engineering.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's completely transformed how things are designed and built.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Imagine designing like a car part,
Yeah.
like a really complex engine component.
Yeah.
Before CAD existed,
Yeah.
engineers would have to draft everything by hand,
Oh my gosh.
painstakingly making calculations and revisions,
Wow.
all on paper.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It must have been a really slow process.
Right.
But with CAD,
Yeah.
they can create a 3D model,
Okay.
test it virtually under different conditions,
Oh, cool.
like stress and things like that,
Right.
and make changes with just a few clicks.
Wow, that's efficiency.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So it's all about efficiency, precision,
Yeah,
and avoiding costly mistakes.
exactly.
Now that you mention that, I'm remembering this documentary I saw
Hmm.
about like the early days of aerospace engineering.
Oh, yeah.
And they were literally building rockets
I've seen that one.
with slide rules and giant drawing boards.
It's crazy.
Right. It's amazing how far we've come.
It's a testament to human ingenuity.
Right.
And the story of CAD itself is really a fascinating journey of innovation.
Okay.
So it actually started back in the 1960s
Okay.
with this program called Sketchpad.
Sketchpad.
Yeah, it was created by Ivan Sutherland,
Okay.
and it let people draw directly on a computer screen
Oh, wow.
using a light pen.
So that's where it all began.
Yeah, the seeds were planted back then.
Wow. What happened next?
Well, over time, CAD software just became more and more sophisticated.
Okay.
And by the 1970s, industries like aerospace and automotive,
Mm-hmm.
they started using it to design these like really complex systems.
Oh, so it was like cutting edge.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah. And then in the 1980s, when personal computers became more popular,
Yeah.
CAD became accessible to a much wider audience.
Oh, cool.
So it kind of democratized design and engineering in a way.
Right. So before it was like
Yeah.
only these big companies had access to.
And now anyone with a computer could use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a pattern I've noticed throughout this deep dive.
Yeah, what's that?
It's like this theme of knowledge and tools becoming more and more accessible over time,
I see that.
which is awesome. It's
Yeah.
like it's a reminder that like learning and innovation
Yeah.
aren't limited to just like a select few.
Mm.
They're constantly evolving and becoming more inclusive,
I like that.
which is cool.
Yeah.
But before we get too philosophical,
Okay.
I am curious about the personal side of Ingagreem,
Okay.
like the creator's own journey of starting the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see a channel that doesn't shy away from the challenges
Right.
of starting something new.
Totally.
They talk about things like fear of failure,
Yeah.
the pressure to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like they don't have enough expertise,
Yeah.
and the struggle to find the time.
Ugh. So relatable.
Right.
It's so comforting to know that even someone like putting themselves out there on YouTube still faces those very human anxieties.
Yeah, totally.
It reminds me of when I first started.
Yeah.
Well, that's a story for another time.
Okay.
But what kind of advice do they give for overcoming these obstacles?
Well, he really emphasized just taking that first step,
Okay.
even if it's imperfect,
Yeah.
and focusing on progress
Yeah.
rather than perfection.
That's good advice.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up
Yeah.
in wanting everything to be perfect.
Totally.
But sometimes just starting is the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
They also talk about how important it is to like leverage the resources that are available,
Oh.
like online tutorials and guides and
Mhm.
communities.
Yeah.
There's just so much information out there.
It's crazy how much is like readily available
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah, it's like having a global library and mentors
Totally.
just a click away.
And Engam Long really encourages their viewers to tap into those resources,
Mm-hmm.
to ask questions,
Yeah.
to learn from others who've been there before. It's a good reminder that we're not alone in our
Seriously.
pursuits.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. There's a whole community out there ready to support us and guide us,
Yeah.
which is really nice feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of like unexpected resources,
Mhm.
one of the most surprising things I found on the channel was their segment on chess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What about chess?
The cognitive benefits of playing chess.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a weird topic.
Yeah, at first glance, it does seem like a bit of a tangent
Right?
from engineering.
Right.
But they make this really compelling case
Yeah.
for how chess can benefit anyone,
Okay.
not just people who want to be grandmasters.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been a little bit intimidated by chess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it seems so complex.
Yeah, it can be.
But the way they approach it makes it feel way more approachable.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, they start by tracing the history of chess. You know, it originated in India over 1,500 years ago,
Wow.
and it's evolved over time.
Oh, wow.
So even something as timeless as chess has this story of, adaptation and innovation.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it makes you realize that everything has a history,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
A story behind it.
Yeah. And then they go on to explain like the basic rules and objectives of chess.
In a really clear way.
Okay.
And they emphasize like the strategic depth
Yeah.
and the mental workout involved.
So it's not just like moving pieces randomly?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about thinking ahead,
Yeah.
anticipating your opponent's moves,
Right.
and developing a plan.
Sounds kind of like engineering.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's like an engineer approaching a complex problem.
Yeah.
You got to think strategically.
Right. Yeah. And they make that connection pretty clear.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
They emphasize how the skills you develop through chess, like strategic thinking, planning, problem solving, decision making under pressure.
Yeah.
Those are all valuable skills
Yeah.
in real life,
Totally.
not just on the chessboard.
It's like a mental gym
Exactly.
to your brain
Yeah, it is.
with like real benefit.
Real tangible benefits.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they argue that playing chess can actually improve your ability
Oh, wow.
to analyze situations,
Oh, wow.
assess risks,
Okay.
and make good decisions in all aspects of your life.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's amazing how a game can have such far-reaching implications.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good reminder that learning can happen in unexpected places
Totally.
and that we should be open to exploring new activities that challenge us mentally.
For sure.
Right. Keep our brains sharp.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And what I appreciate is how they tie this back to the act of learning itself.
Oh, okay.
So just like chess requires strategic thinking and planning,
Mm-hmm.
so does building a successful YouTube channel or, pursuing any challenging endeavor.
Right. So they're kind of like practicing what they preach
Exactly.
with their own channel.
Yeah, they're walking the walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And just like in chess,
Yeah.
there will be setbacks and challenges.
Right.
But it's how we learn from those experiences and keep striving
Yeah.
that defines our success.
And that's a message that really resonates with me,
Mm.
especially in our culture that like glorifies instant gratification
Totally.
and overnight success.
Yeah. Ingeborg reminds us that real growth
Yeah.
takes time, effort,
Mm-hmm.
and a willingness to embrace the ups and downs.
Well said.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Ingeborg YouTube channel.
You know, it's inspiring to see how they embrace the challenges of starting a YouTube channel instead of presenting this like polished, perfect image.
Right.
They're honest about the struggles,
Yeah.
which makes them so much more relatable.
It is refreshing to see that, right?
Yeah.
They're not afraid to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and talk about those common fears.
Yeah.
The fear of failure, the pressure of perfectionism,
Yeah.
feeling like you don't have enough expertise,
Right.
and the struggle to find the time.
Yeah. And it's like they're saying, hey, we're all figuring this out together.
Exactly.
Which is such a refreshing change from the I've got it all figured out
Totally.
attitude that you often see online.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of why people are drawn to their channel,
Yeah.
is that it feels very authentic
Yeah.
and genuine.
And they really emphasize progress over perfection, which is something I need to remind myself of constantly.
Me too.
It's so easy to get caught up in wanting everything to be perfect.
Right.
But sometimes just starting is the biggest hurdle.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and they also talk about leveraging the resources that are available,
Right.
like online tutorials and guides and online communities.
It's crazy how much information is out there.
I know, it's amazing.
Right.
It's like,
It's all at our fingertips.
yeah, it's like having a global library
Right.
and mentors just a click away.
Totally.
Yeah.
When Angmeg, they really encourage viewers to tap into those resources,
Right.
to ask questions, to learn from others.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that we're not alone in our pursuits.
Yeah. It's nice to feel part of a community
Yeah.
of learners.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of unexpected resources, One of the most surprising things I found on their channel was their segment on
What's that?
the cognitive benefits of playing chess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I was surprised to see that, too.
right,
Chess on an engineering channel.
right. Like what?
But they connected it so well
Yeah.
to their overall message of learning and growth.
You know, I've always been kind of intimidated by chess.
Yeah.
It seems so complex.
It can be.
But the way they broke it down made it feel a lot more approachable.
Yeah, they do a good job of explaining it. So they start by talking about the history of chess.
Oh, cool.
You know, it originated in India
Okay.
over 1,500 years ago,
Wow.
and it's evolved over time.
So even something as like timeless as chess
Yeah.
has its own evolution.
It's a reminder that everything has a history.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And then they go on to explain the basic rules and the objectives
Right.
really clearly.
Okay.
And they emphasize the strategic thinking
Mm-hmm.
and the mental workout involved.
Yeah, it's not just like moving pieces randomly.
No, you got to think.
Great.
You got to
Yeah.
plan ahead.
Yeah.
You got to anticipate your opponent's moves.
It's like engineering in a
Yeah,
way.
totally.
Right.
Like an engineer approaching a problem.
And they make that connection really.
That a game can have such far-reaching benefits.
It's a good reminder that learning can happen anywhere.
Absolutely.
Right. And that we should be open to exploring new activities that challenge us mentally.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, keep your brain sharp.
Ah.
Yeah. And I also like how they connect this back to the act of learning itself.
Okay. How so?
So just like chess requires strategic thinking and planning,
Yeah.
so does building a successful YouTube channel
Right.
or pursuing any challenging endeavor.
So it's like they're practicing what they preach.
Yeah, exactly. They're walking the walk.
Yeah.
And just like in chess, you're
Mm.
going to face setbacks and challenges
Right.
along the way.
It's about learning from those experiences.
Exactly. And
Okay.
adapting.
Yeah.
And just like keep striving.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important message.
Especially in a world that often celebrates instant gratification and like overnight success.
Yeah, it can be discouraging
Yeah.
when you see that.
Inga Lima reminds us that real growth takes willingness to embrace all the ups and downs.
Yeah, the whole journey,
Yeah, the whole journey.
not just the highlight reel.
Well said.
Thanks.
So one of the things that really resonated with me
Yeah.
from our conversation so far is how they connect these seemingly disparate ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they do a great job of that.
Whether it's linking a 9th century mathematician to modern engineering or drawing parallels between chess and building a YouTube channel,
Right.
they really highlight the interconnectedness of knowledge
Yeah,
in a way that I've never really considered before.
that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It shows that knowledge isn't confined to neat categories.
Right.
It's all connected.
Yeah,
you
in
know?
like a web.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and the more connections we make,
Yeah.
the richer our understanding becomes.
It's about being curious.
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
And like willing to venture beyond the familiar.
Yeah, to see things from different perspectives.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes this channel so compelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about like conveying information.
Right.
It's about sparking curiosity
Yeah, inspiring people
and encouraging viewers to think critically.
and to make those connections for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of making connections,
Yeah.
Engamarjam also delves into their own personal experience
Oh,
of
cool.
launching the channel.
It's like a behind-the-scenes look
Yeah.
at what it takes to create content.
It's like we get a glimpse into their mind
Yeah.
a little bit.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, it helps you understand their motivations and their process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're very open about the challenges.
Yeah.
Like the initial hesitation, the fear of putting yourself out there. Or
Totally.
the self-doubt.
Which is something we all struggle with.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when starting something new.
It's so humanizing to see that.
Yeah.
Even someone who seems so confident and successful online
Right.
still deals with those things.
They emphasize the importance of just taking that first step,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's imperfect.
Even if it's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just getting started.
Looking before motivation.
Sometimes you just got to dive in
Yeah.
and start doing.
They also talk about the importance of consistency
Yeah.
and perseverance.
Showing up even when you don't feel like it
Right.
and putting in the effort day after day.
That's where the real progress happens.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and they give some practical tips for staying motivated,
Oh, cool. Like what?
like setting realistic goals,
Oh, okay.
breaking down big tasks into smaller chunks,
Yeah.
and tracking your progress.
It's about creating a positive feedback loop.
Totally.
Right. Where each small step forward fuels your motivation.
Yeah. Celebrate those small wins
Yeah.
to keep yourself going.
They also highlight the importance of engaging with your audience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Responding to good comments.
Building relationships.
Mhm.
It's not just broadcasting your content into the void.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about creating a two-way dialogue.
Yeah, building a community.
Right.
Yeah.
And one challenge they address that I think resonates with a lot of creators
Yeah.
is this feeling of not having enough expertise.
Oh, yeah, the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with that all the time.
It's easy to think like, I don't know enough to
Right.
teach others.
Like, who am I to be making videos about this?
But often it's like our unique perspective and our learning journey
Yeah.
that makes us relatable.
Exactly.
And just
And Gavin Jerome encourages their viewers
yeah.
to focus on what they're passionate about,
Okay.
to do their research, to learn,
Yeah.
and then to share their unique take on things.
It's about finding your voice and contributing to the conversation.
Even if you don't feel like an expert.
They also talk about the time constraint, which
Okay.
is something I struggle with constantly.
Me too.
Yeah.
We all have busy lives.
Yeah.
So how do you find the time
Yeah.
to pursue your passions?
It's all about balance. Right?
Yeah.
Finding that balance.
Making conscious choices
Mm-hmm.
about how we spend our time.
And setting priorities.
They suggest starting small,
Yeah.
like dedicating even just 30 minutes or an hour a day.
Yeah. You don't have to do everything at once.
Consistency over intensity.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's about building sustainable habits.
It's not about forcing a square peg into a round hole.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
They also talk about the importance of scheduling,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Make time for the things that matter.
Block it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it means saying no to other things.
Right.
Sometimes you got to say no
Yeah.
to protect your time. You know, one of the things that I find really inspiring about Engmagram
Yeah.
is how they use their platform
Yeah.
to encourage learning and personal growth, not just for themselves, but
Right.
for their viewers as well.
Yeah. They really want to empower their audience.
It's not just about entertainment or information. It's about making a positive impact.
Yeah. And they do that in a few ways.
Okay.
First of all, they share their own learning journey.
Yeah.
They talk about their struggles and their successes,
Yeah.
which I think is really inspiring for viewers.
It's like they're normalizing the ups and downs of learning.
Exactly.
Right. And
Yeah.
reminding everyone that it's okay to not have all the answers.
We're all works in progress.
They also actively engage with their audience,
Yeah.
responding to comments, asking questions, encouraging people to share their thoughts.
Creating a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't just stick to engineering topics.
Right.
They explore history and philosophy,
Yeah.
personal development, and even chess.
Showing that learning can happen anywhere
Right.
and that it's good to connect different ideas.
Yeah. It's about expanding our horizons,
Yeah.
challenging our assumptions.
And thinking creatively.
And perhaps most importantly,
Yeah.
they share their experiences
Mhm.
of overcoming obstacles and achieving goals.
Whether it's starting the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
learning a new skill,
Right.
or just navigating student life.
Yeah, they show that setbacks and failures are just part of the process.
Yeah, they're inevitable.
And that it's our resilience and our persistence that really matters.
That's what leads to success.
It's about normalizing the struggle and
Yeah.
showing people that they too can achieve their dreams.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what has stood out to you the most?
Honestly, it's their enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And their passion.
Yeah.
It just shines through in every video.
I know, it's contagious. It makes you want to learn
Yeah.
right along with them.
You can tell they're genuinely excited
Yeah.
about what they're doing.
It's a good reminder to find that spark
Yeah.
in our own pursuits.
Learning should be joyful.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a chore.
Well said.
Thanks.
Um,
Maybe we should take a little break here.
okay.
Let our listeners process all this information
Okay, that sounds good.
before we move on to the final part.
Sounds good. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about this really cool YouTube channel, Bangamain,
Yeah.
and I gotta say, I'm amazed by how much we've covered.
Right.
We've gone from the history of algebra
Yeah.
to like the ins and outs of CAD software,
Mm-hmm.
and we've even touched on the creator's personal journey of starting the channel.
It's been a wild ride
Yeah.
through history and technology and personal growth.
It's remarkable how they connect everything,
Right.
like all these different fields.
Yeah. They show how it's all related.
Revealing these like unexpected connections.
Like, who would have thought that chess and engineering had anything in common?
Right. It's like they're showing us that knowledge doesn't exist in these, like, isolated bubbles, you know?
It's all a web.
It's a web.
Yeah.
And the more we connect the dots,
Yeah.
the more we
The
understand.
deeper our understanding becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I'm curious what you think sets Angream apart from all the other educational channels out there.
You know, for me, it's their genuine enthusiasm.
Yes.
You can tell they're so passionate
I know.
about learning and sharing knowledge
It's contagious.
and connecting with people.
Yeah.
And I think that really comes through
Yeah.
in their videos.
It makes you want to learn, too.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
They remind us that learning should be fun.
It shouldn't be a chore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to show their struggles either.
Right. They're open about their setbacks and failures,
Yeah, which makes them relatable.
which is so important.
It normalizes the fact that learning isn't always easy. You know, there are going to be bumps along the way.
And it's okay to not have all the answers.
Right. Nobody's perfect.
We're all works in progress.
And they also emphasize the importance of perseverance.
Yes.
You know?
And resilience.
Yeah.
Setbacks are inevitable,
Mm.
but it's how we respond to them that determines our success.
Whether we're starting a YouTube channel or learning a new skill
Yeah.
or just dealing with everyday life.
It's all about how we bounce back.
Yeah, picking yourself up and trying again.
So what do you think about the broader impact of what Ingram is doing? Like, how are they changing the way people learn online?
I think they're part of a movement
Okay.
that's recognizing the power of creators to make education more engaging.
Right. It's not just boring lectures anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It can be fun and entertaining.
It's like they're breaking down the walls of the classroom
Yeah.
and making knowledge accessible to everyone.
Democratizing knowledge.
I love that.
Yeah.
And they're also doing it in a way that fosters community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they engage with their viewers. They respond to comments.
You ask questions.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, it's not just like talking at people.
Well, it's a conversation.
It's a conversation,
Yeah.
which I think is super cool.
And they really want to empower their audience.
Yes.
You know?
It's not just about giving information. It's
Yeah.
about encouraging people to take action.
Pursue their passions.
Yeah.
To make a difference in the world.
It's about lighting that spark
Yeah.
of curiosity.
And giving them the tools to make their dreams a reality.
So as we wrap up,
Okay.
what's one key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with?
I hope they remember that learning is a lifelong journey
Ooh, I like that.
and that it's best done with enthusiasm,
Yeah.
curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
and a willingness to embrace the unexpected.
So well said.
I think Engbeline really embodies that spirit.
They do.
Yeah.
They're not just teaching us about engineering or history.
Yeah. They're teaching us how to learn.
How to think critically.
Yeah.
How to be curious.
And how to find joy in discovery.
So if you're looking for a channel that will inspire you
Yeah.
to learn something new
Challenge your assumptions.
and just approach life with a renewed sense of curiosity,
Definitely check out EngMEI.
you might just surprise yourself with what you find.
You never know what you'll learn.
And with that, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Thanks for joining us
We hope you enjoyed it.
and that you learned something new.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep learning.
See you next time.